So you have a tender rate and you love overlanding. You have plans to do it big on the trace and some super glamping. One ideas, tip, news and reviews. A podcast the first rate and here just for you. You don't have to think about it. Join us and be about it. Something interesting we want to hear about it. Come on, let's talk about it. Welcome to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints podcast.
Sponsored by Midland, communication for every adventure. The industry leader in radio communication technology and innovation for over 50 years. Sponsored by MyMedic. Sponsored by Tembo Tusk. Sponsored by Shower Pouch. Sponsored by BrewTrek. Sponsored by Hard Impact Designs.
Always remember, the opinion you follow should be your own. Just consider the things stated here to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online.
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Oh, Phil, greetings from the East Coast. It's been a while since I've been out here, so I am on my way to Overland Expo East, and I am currently talking to you from Connecticut, actually, right now. So a little change than usual, and apologize for those of you listening out there. I don't have my professional microphone with me, so I might sound a little bit different today, but we shall see. And the other thing that's going on is if you're following at all in the news, as we speak in the last half an hour or so, we record this on Tuesdays usually, Iran has just sent a couple hundred missiles into Israel, and we obviously have a catastrophe going on in Gaza and then in Lebanon as well, and now we got Iran involved. So for us overland travelers, world travelers anyways, this does not bode well.
Well, I think I mentioned on the podcast a couple of months ago that I have a family member who got shipped off somewhere and he wasn't allowed to talk about it, and we had some guesses, and this was one of the guesses.
Yep.
So this sounds more like it's been a build up to this.
Right. Because my understanding is we just activated some troops over there. Jordan just within the last 5 minutes put high emergency alert. So you've got a potential regional disaster going on, which, you know, all of us, I think, are smart enough to know at this point that a regional is not just regional, it's worldwide. So these are concerns. So I've been kind of following that news, but you know,
yeah, we don't know for sure because he hasn't been allowed to say where he's at, but we think he's there. It's my nephew.
Yeah, I would imagine that that's probably true. So hopefully they stay safe. I mean, the good news, I guess, from our side at least, is we typically are not involved on ground operations, or at least by and large, and we tend to do it from a distance on ships and in various different bases and stuff, but we'll see what happens. But just wanted to mention that because by the time you guys are hearing the podcast on Friday, God knows what could be going on. So we're live with it now.
I'm hoping the buildup of troops and us backing them will just make Iran say, hey, we give up. I'm hoping it doesn't actually come down to blows. They have nuclear weapons. That's something to consider also.
Yeah, and their regime is generally fairly crazy. So, I mean, I guess the good news is that even if they launched 200 missiles, it sounds like they all got intercepted or shot down before they reached targets, which I think Iran knows that. So just because they launch missiles doesn't necessarily mean that they're, it's a tit for tat thing where they're responding to what Israel did in Lebanon. And, but the bottom line is, let's just say the situation, we talked about this when we talk about politics and, the future, who's going to be elected the situation is certainly not what I would consider to be improving.
That is not where I thought you were about to end with that.
Oh,
I was gonna say, I don't see if I have. This is a situation that it should be clear to you which one of the two candidates you would want to be running things.
yeah, not to delve deep into the political environment as we always seem to get there, but one could argue either candidate that's currently running is going to be better than what we got sitting there, not knowing, what's going on at all. And I think that's part of the problem is we are definitely looking at the current situation where we have nobody running the ship. And that, or at least it looks that way. So we'll see. And people made promise. But by the way, I totally spaced this and forgot. But tonight, like I said, we record on Tuesdays, is the vice presidential debate as well. I think it goes live at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So maybe it's 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm not sure. I will be actually driving my U-Haul truck with my Land Rover behind it at the time. So I'll probably be able to listen to it, I'm sure, on some radio thing or something.
Oh, it should be everywhere. I'm definitely going to listen to it. We're going to have to talk about it too.
That's right.
So you're headed out today to get to Virginia.
Yeah, and that's another thing I kind of wanted to bring up because people have asked me, and I actually just got off the phone about 20 minutes ago with Jerry from Tembo Tusk.
What's up, Jerry?
What's up, Jerry? He was actually battling his way, which is what I wanted to mention. He is battling his way right now through North Carolina, and he says the devastation that he's seeing is unbelievable. I guess he's been stationed for the last couple of days in Georgia, and he said, believe it or not, where he was in Georgia, they barely got any rain, but he crossed the border into Western North Carolina on his way up towards, for those of you that have never been to Overland Expo, it's roughly located a little bit north of North Carolina on the western side there, towards the West Virginia line in Virginia. But he is circumventing how he normally would go, which would be generally through Asheville to get there. And he's definitely not going through Asheville because he said that he has gone by in the last couple hours, he's gone by more than 10 gas stations that none of them had fuel.
Whoa.
So he's a little concerned with that he's going to run out of gas at some point. So hopefully that does, knock on wood, that does not happen. But the situation, he said, there's just down trees, power lines laying everywhere, puddles, floods every which direction. He said he didn't see too much in the way of incredibly overflowed rivers and dams out, but not dams, but bridges. But that, he hadn't gotten quite maybe close enough to some of the hardest hit areas. But clearly North Carolina, and now they're saying that, I think there's already 200 people that were confirmed killed and another 200 or so that are still missing. So that's interestingly enough, as badly as Florida got hit, and that situation there, by the way, isn't good either, because I've spoken to the first year that I was on the road full time, I hung out in Homosassa, Florida all winter, and the hurricane touched down, I don't know, maybe only 30 or 40 miles north of Homosassa. So that area is inundated. The campground that I actually stayed at is totally underwater with no access. So I know a lot of people in that area still too. So thoughts go out to everybody affected by that storm. And my understanding is there's potentially another one coming. And I'm praying it's not coming when we're at Overland Expo, because we've all been down that road before.
So have you heard about the weather in Virginia? Was it affected at all?
Yeah, they got a fair amount of rain, I guess, but no serious flooding that I've heard. And I did talk to a few Overland Expo people, so the schedule is on. The outlook supposedly for the weather, which is almost hard to believe considering we've had so many good years in a row. It looks like it's supposed to be a great year again. with highs in the 70s, lows in the 50s, and sunny. So crossing our fingers for that.
Okay. Mike, did you hear about the lion attack in Africa?
I did. I
That
did.
is crazy.
It's crazy.
Um, they're kind of trying to blame it on the zookeeper.
That's what I heard.
And it may be accurate that he did what they said, but I think of companies like who owned what was it that owned the big orcas?
SeaWorld.
Yeah, SeaWorld. You know, if you know anything about the legalities they've had about those orcas, they often have blamed the worker for the injuries due to the orcas. So I'm not just taking their word for it that this guy left a gate open because he thought it was okay, because that's what they're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
I would think a guy that many years in, because they said he had a lot of experience, had been there a long time, he would be the person who would be absolutely.
Sounds like there might be more to that story, let's just say. Yeah.
But they said it was during an after hours event or something like that, where they let the same kind of thing like with SeaWorld. When they had that big attack with the lady, it was an after hours thing where they were having a thing.
It's funny, when I heard the story, it sounded like it was a cocktail party or something, or a fundraiser or something like that. I don't know if you ever watched, or any of you guys out there ever watched the series on HBO. Oh crap, what was the damn name of the thing? It was in a game park, or no, it was a park. Oh, Westworld. And it was where they started coming with all these what was it? What was that? Was it animals or dinosaurs, or I can't remember what the heck was running through their little cocktail party, something. But anyways,
I watched the first 2 seasons and then it was always weird, but then it just kind of got too weird for me.
It got so weird.
They were it seemed like they were going for shock value.
I had to literally start watching every episode 4 times to even understand what was going on. And at that point I was like, I can't do this anymore. So yeah, I didn't watch it either. I don't know. I can't even remember. That's how loose they are. I can't remember if it was animals, dinosaurs, or people that were doing the shooting. I don't know.
Mike, do you got any friends currently in Chile or in Argentina?
Nope. I got some friends down in Peru that are going to be in Chile or Argentina very shortly.
I only ask because tomorrow, is the Ring of Fire eclipse, and those are like the 2 best places to be in. And it was like a 50-50 chance you knew somebody there.
I mean, I might. I just can't recall it off the top of my head.
Well, we do know one person. What's his name? Black guy. Where would Will go?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do. I'm trying to remember. Is he in Patagonia?
I need to look on his social media, but I could have sworn he was around that area.
I think so. I think you're right.
I felt like he just got there or something.
Could be.
Well, shout out to Where Will Will Go? And
That's
anybody
right.
watching, that's somebody you might want to check out on Instagram. Where would Will go? I hope I said that right.
I believe that's correct. These Instagram handles, we get awfully confused.
Mike, let's quit messing around. Let's get right to this. You ready?
Okay, what am I ready for?
Okay, you know what you're ready for. We decided that we were gonna do a few lists. People seem to like our lists.
Yep.
So we're gonna do a list. We're gonna do top 10 country voices. And we're going to do top 10 voices of all time.
Yeah.
And
this
depending
musicians we're talking about here.
We'll go with those 2 right now. I have some other lists, but we'll just see how this goes first.
All right, I got a list right here.
Okay. So you're gonna give your list. I'm gonna give my list. We'll go back and forth, I guess.
Sure, we'll go back and forth. And we get for those of you who have been around us with other lists, we get bogged down. So we're gonna try to go through this one quicker this time.
So let's do this. We can throw up some little fancy graphics or whatever. We'll go into a little bit more detail, but you just give your 10 and I'll
Okay.
put it on the screen, and then I'll give my 10 and I'll put it on the screen so people can look and compare,
Okay.
and then we'll go from there.
First, I want to say, so I get these things blindly, sort of, from Phil. He just sends me a thing on I get my phone and it's a text message that says, hey, let's talk about the top 10 country vocalists of the 20th and 21st centuries. Well, that covers big ground, right? So we're going way back. We could go way back all the way to today. So then, of course, my brain starts going. Now, for those of you that know me, I listen to a lot of country music currently.
So they probably thought you came up with the idea.
And I didn't. I listen to a lot of what I would call modern country today. That's not having said that I didn't listen to some old school country a long time ago, but I largely was more of a rock-based guy back in the day. So so I was less country, but that doesn't mean I don't know some of the stuff. So and then I go and then I had to then we're talking about vocalists, so I'm going with the voice. So there's obviously people I love that I wouldn't consider necessarily to be the best vocalists, so they're probably not on the list. So, anyways, so I made this list of 10 people, and then I realized that on this list, 5 of them are current, as in modern day country artists. And 5 of them are not current, either dead or older or gone or not big anymore or whatever. So you want me to give you the whole list right now? Any particular order? I didn't order them either, really. I just kind of.
Yeah, just give your 10 and
okay, here we go.
We'll
I'll
give you
the 5. I'll give you the 5 that are not active or
so no, just give 5 and then we'll give our second 5.
Okay. All right. I'm going to divide it into 2 categories then. Here's the 5 that are no longer active.
Okay.
And by the way, I might have miscounted. So anyways, Charlie Pride, Johnny Cash, George Jones, George Strait, and Kenny Rogers. Phil's being silent. I'm probably all over the place there.
So I don't have mine divided up like yours.
Okay, fair enough.
And you said, the history of how you got into country. Mine is a little different. My people from the South. My mama is from a little small town in Mississippi ain't nobody heard of. So small that my auntie was the mayor at one time.
Wow.
And owned the only store in town.
Okay.
That's how small.
Okay.
My dad is from Arkansas. So I know the country in general, living in the country. Because every summer we would go down there. I would literally sometimes spend the whole summer in the country. And I always heard a mixture of music that I didn't classify as country in the same way as we're talking about. It was a mixture of more like spiritual type music, more like cultural type music. And there were white folks that sang it. There were black folks that sang it. But the black folks had it kind of like a little style of their own, and the white folks had a little bit of style of their own, but it still was in the same kind of category. And so I didn't have artists so much that I listened to. I just listened to the people who sat on their porch and played music, and it would be like, it might be this white farmer and this black farmer, and one is playing a guitar and one is got a harmonica, and they weren't really calling it country. Right. So I've always heard country and I've always loved country. Now, the only way that I came up with my list was when I said the top 10 country voices. To me, these are the signature voices. I mean, literally, their voices are signatures of country music ever since I've been listening to music, and I feel like they've been copied. They are the signatures. They are the people who other country singers aspire to be. And so I'll just go with my first five. My first five was Johnny Cash, Kenny Rogers, George Strait, Garth Brooks, and Dolly Parton.
Excellent. That's funny. So 3 of those 5 we shared.
Oh, I have some. We have more in common than you think. I just don't have them all in my top 5 like you did.
Well, I don't have them all on this list because I would have thrown Dolly Parton in. She was on my little notes right over here. So that's interesting. Okay, I'll give you my rest of the 5. It might even be 6. These are more current, contemporary. Carrie Underwood.
Ooh.
Luke Combs. Alison Krauss. Chris Stapleton. And for those of you that know me, you knew I wasn't going to leave this person off the list because, I'm a Swiftie, so I have to put Taylor Swift in here as well. She started, her roots are in country, and she goes back to it every so often. So I got Taylor Swift on here. And we were talking about, so I've cheated. I think I put one more, Jelly Roll.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we went about this totally different. So my next 5, Mike, is Hank Williams.
Oh, Hank Williams. That's a good one.
Charlie Pride.
Had him.
John Denver. Glenn Campbell. And Shania Twain.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I love your list, Mike.
I love your list too. In fact, everybody on your list, I probably could have put on my list too. It's hard to think of these sometimes. I was literally sitting here last night and I was like, okay, who am I thinking of? Who am I thinking? I'm thinking of all these people. And I'm inevitably, I forget somebody, right? But yeah, and I would say all of those people are influential in their own ways. Like, you take somebody like Johnny Cash. I mean, come on. We all know.
And that's what I meant about voices. Like that is a sick. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like Kenny Rogers. Because I think when I used to listen to Kenny Rogers, you wouldn't even define him as country, but he had such a unique voice. Nobody sounded like him.
And that's why I told a story about growing up, going into the South, about there's more to country sound to me than that stereotypical sound.
Yeah.
Like, this is my personal opinion. I feel like blues is a part of country. I believe blues and country is all basically the same. It's different ranges of the same thing. Am I making sense?
Oh, for sure. And like, if you want to take that a step further, if you go into modern country, it's got elements of rock. It's got elements of rap. It's got elements of reggae. All of those things are being, So it's funny you had John Denver on your list. Well, his big song is being done by MGK and Jelly Roll right now. So like here you got a guy that was like rappers really originally, and then went into alternative music, and then are in country and across. In fact, MGK just won the ACM award or whatever last night or the night before. I just saw it. And here's a guy that's cross genre, so very similar to like a Taylor Swift or somebody who writes music for other people.
So again, that's what I was saying about how I came up with my list. It's people who are being copied, who are like, they are pretty much the definition of the sound of country music over the years.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. So you guys write into us and tell us what is your road trip songs like? Like when you hit the road or go out for a weekend of camping or whatever you're doing, what music are you listening to? I'd be curious.
I think people would be very wrong if they thought they knew what kind of music I listen to, because I'm all over the place, especially on a trip.
Yeah, me too.
I'm all over the place.
Yeah, you definitely would think I was bipolar, had some kind of disorder if you were listening in my car, because I'd be going from one thing to the next thing to like they'd be like, wait a minute here, didn't you just listen to Kenny Rogers and now you're listening to Metallica? I don't even understand. Yep, that would be me.
All right, Mike. So you want to go to the next list?
What's the next list?
Top 10 voices of all time.
So, yeah, I have less of a list here.
Okay.
Because I really struggled with this. I mean, I really struggle with this because I go back to the days like in the 80s, let's say, when I was in high school, and I remember listening to, because you're talking about, I mean, who do you put on a list like this? That, like, so I'll just tell you real quick. I'll run through people. I just started scratching names down, which, by the way, I just mentioned MGK, Lady Gaga. I'm a huge Lady Gaga fan. She is probably has the widest range.
I agree.
And she is amazing what she can sing. Steve Perry from Journey. I mean, what about the Beatles? Or you want iconic people? I don't even like them necessarily, but Rolling Stones and the Who. I mean, Roger Daltrey. These people were all icons. Michael Jackson. I think you and I talked about the Jacksons the other day. Remember on a couple podcasts ago. I just taking note. I'm all over the place. Literally all over the place. I don't know.
Well, to me, in order to come up with a genuine top voices, it has to be all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't just do all country or do all soul or whatever.
No.
So
Lionel Richie.
But is he a top 10 voice of all time? And I love Lionel Richie. I love Commodore's Lionel Richie.
Me too. Me too. That's what I was thinking.
I actually think I was going to say that's when he was actually at his best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because when he went on his own, to me, that was kind of like elevator music to me.
Okay, so I was translating your parameters for this maybe a little bit differently. I agree, because you could say, well.
So this is the way I looked at it, Mike. When I said top 10 voices of all time, I didn't necessarily mean how many hits they had or how popular they were. I meant that like their voice was like it reigned supreme. It's one of the ones that, like, let's say one of these talent shows that's on TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we win.
People sing their songs to show that they can sing.
Yep. Like that guy that just won, I think, American Idol or whatever. He was singing Steve Perry, Journey. I think he did Don't Stop Believing on that. So, Tina Turner.
And I mean like voices that literally sculpted music that we know. So let me give you my five. I'll give you my top 5 voices of all time. Steve Perry. Freddie Mercury.
Oh, Freddie Mercury. Yes.
James Brown. Stevie Wonder. David Ruffin. If you think of the songs that these guys have in their catalog, that's about 75% of the soundtracks of all the movies that you listen to.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I'm serious.
I agree. Yeah.
You watch a movie, you watch a rom-com, you're going to hear something from James Brown, you're going to hear something from Stevie Wonder, you're going to hear David Ruffin, you're going to. So you get what I'm saying about the voices? And people try to sing their songs to show that they can sing.
Yep.
And I don't have them in a particular order. except I did mean to have Steve Perry as my number one.
Interesting.
And it was very
Funny,
hard for me. It
it's
was
who I
very
have
hard
first on
because,
my list too.
and not to slight Freddie Mercury, I had he's like 1B.
Yep. Yeah,
Though
Freddie Mercury is iconic because it's a style that almost nobody else could emulate, right? Like
he
it's
could sing
hard to come.
everything.
Yeah,
He had the full range.
yeah.
And then my second five, Mike, I had Steven Tyler,
Mm,
Aretha
Massachusetts.
Franklin,
Yep.
Sam Cooke, Louis Armstrong,
Oh, Louis Armstrong. That's a good one.
and Nina Simone.
Oh,
Nobody on that list voice would you not know that was
What?
who they were.
Immediately. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not necessarily my favorite singers, and those are some of my favorite singers, but
Sure.
I
Sure.
feel like those are the signature voices of the 20th century.
Yeah. That's fair.
And I left out I think Cyndi Lauper could have been on that list.
Mhm.
Ella Fitzgerald. I don't know if you've ever listened to Ella Fitzgerald.
Oh yeah, I owned a DJ company, so I've listened to every music. And Ella Fitzgerald very often was like cocktail hour music for us. Pre making the announcements of the wedding party and stuff.
And then I had Karen Carpenter
Mm.
from the Carpenters. She's one of my favorite voices. Barbara Streisand. I feel like you mentioned Lady Gaga. I feel like Lady Gaga is the modern day Barbara Streisand.
Yeah, for sure.
And I have Frank Sinatra, and I'm talking about young Frank Sinatra, not smoking, drinking Frank
Right.
Sinatra.
Right. Yeah, gambling.
For you youngsters, go back in his music when he didn't have that roughy, scruffy voice. I mean, he could really, really sing.
I grew up with Frank Sinatra because my parents were huge Frank Sinatra fans. So that's all we heard in our house growing up was Frank Sinatra. I literally have heard every single album that he's ever done over and over and over again. And you're right. He had an incredible range too in the beginning.
Because the second half of his career, he just kind of, all right, I'm gonna
Got on a stage with a cocktail and a cigar.
Yeah, he wasn't really singing, but he could like hit notes.
Yes. Yeah.
And one last one, Mike, Elton John.
Yeah, that's what I say. I had Elton John as well. I have seen Elton John in concert. I don't know how many times, probably at least a dozen. Him and Billy Joel used to tour together quite often and come around to our area here in the Northeast a lot because they both kind of are out of here. Yeah.
And my last one, Mike, this guy, Donny Hathaway.
Donny,
you know who that is, do you?
Yeah. It sounds it's on the tip of my tongue.
This Christmas.
Yes. Yep.
I feel like those are the voices of the 20th century, Mike.
So there you have it, folks. Tell us what we're wrong on or who we left off, because I'm sure we left somebody great off and we just didn't think of it.
So our last list, Mike, and I'm dying to hear what you got to say on this one. I am dying to hear this one.
Okay, everybody, turn off your volume now and don't take this too seriously, this next section.
Mike and I are going to give our top 10 movies I'll watch over and over again. So this isn't necessarily
Good
Oscar winners, good movies, or anything. This is a movie that you'll watch over and over.
Now, I got to give you some Mike insight. I grew up in a household that did not have a television. Believe it or not, we did not have a TV until I was about, I would say I was maybe 12. And even then we had like, it was just a black and white fuzzy snow television that with rabbit ear antenna. Like we just, so and by the way, it's one of the reasons till this day, I don't watch a lot of stuff. And I really don't. I don't watch a lot of movies. I don't watch a lot of I really don't watch television. So I'm an outsider on this for sure. Not saying that I don't watch stuff. Like I tend to watch series now. Like just got done watching Yellowstone. I've watched a lot of the HBO series, Game of Thrones and 6 Feet Under, and I don't know, the vampire one. So I watch some of that stuff, but I don't watch a lot of network television because I just didn't ever got used to, because I didn't have a TV. I never watched like sitcoms really. Um, so anyways, that's the explanation of Mike. So anyways, here's the following list of things, which I think I mixed a little bit in with, maybe a couple of them are actually award-winning movies, and a few of them are like, you're going to be like, what in the fuck?
So give me five.
All right, I'll just take them. No particular. I'll just take your first five. Starting at, no, this is not in order. Spaceballs. I love that movie. I swear to God, I've seen Spaceballs 40 times. It's just fun. It cracks me up every time. Second one on the list is Alive. That is a true story about a plane crash in the Andes Mountains where I want to say 12 or 13 people lived out of 50 or more on board soccer team. I've watched that movie probably 10 times. Lord of the Rings. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, so I've watched that. I could sit down and watch those anytime. Meet the Parents. That just cracks me up. I love that movie. And my final of the five, Wedding Crashers, because even on our podcast, we get people talking about how come Vince Vaughn is on the podcast, because I will get at least 10 comments a week on my YouTube, at least 10 a week, that say I sound like Vince Vaughn. Everybody says that.
You do, bro.
It's hilarious. So, but I happen to like Vince Vaughn anyways.
Mike, that was definitely all over the place.
It was, yeah.
So
they get a little more normal after that.
So go real quickly. Say them again.
Okay, Spaceballs, Alive, Lord of the Rings, Meet the Parents, and Wedding Crashers. Those are the first five.
Okay, so
please bring us some sanity now, Phil.
These are not in any order, but here goes. I have Apocalypto. I can watch that over and over, or I can just I have certain portions I want to watch, and I'll just watch like that 15 minutes, that portion or this portion. Next, I kind of cheated on this one. It's 2 movies for number 2. It's the Thomas Crown Affair. You can get the old one from the 60s, or you can get the modern one from the 90s. I don't care which one you watch. I love them both. I can watch them back to back. So that's my number. Then I have The Godfather 2. Not 1, not 3. Godfather 2. Oh my God, I've watched that so many times over a lifetime.
It's funny. I don't have that on the list, but it was considered. That is one that I have watched that a bunch of times too.
And then I have The Shawshank Redemption.
Just had my list, yeah.
I've watched that so many times. I'll just go to the ending sometimes just to watch him get free and go meet him at the beach. I'll watch the ending like just for no reason out of the clear blue. And then I have number 5. I have Life. If you want to, yes, it's an Eddie Murphy movie with what's his name, Lawrence?
Oh,
they got a life sentence for something they didn't do.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen that,
bro. Non-stop laughs. There's so many talented comedians in that movie. Everybody in it is like a top-notch comedian. It's a great story. It well written. Watch that tonight.
Okay.
And tell me what you think. And I'll know if you watched it because you're gonna have something to say.
Okay.
Okay, so what's your next 5, Mike?
Okay, so next one, the next couple are pretty generic. Probably a lot of people have them on their list. Star Wars. I like the original ones, not the and they weren't obviously well acted necessarily, but they were classics. Darth Vader to me is the best character that's ever been created. Um, this is the part where I might girls might start liking me. Titanic, only because only because I was no listen, I was obsessed with the whole story about the Titanic, really, more than anything. The movie is a little over dramatized for sure. Casablanca, because I've been to Casablanca. It was a kind of a classic old movie, actually. Um, Forrest
I've
Gump.
watched that quite a few times. I've watched that a bunch of times. I don't know how I don't have that on here.
Forrest Gump. That's a classic. Followed up by another one similar-ish in my brain, anyways. Rain Man. Man,
Oh, excellent.
we used to do Rain Man all the time. We would, we were like a bunch of my friends. We would pretend we were Rain Man. And the last two I have on my list, also probably both pretty well known: Good Will Hunting and Pulp Fiction.
I should have Pulp Fiction up here. Oh, I do.
There you go.
All right, Mike. So run them down again.
Okay, so on this new list of things, we went Star Wars, Titanic, Casablanca, Forrest Gump, Rain Man, Good Will Hunting, and Pulp Fiction.
Okay, so that's 7. All right.
Mm.
So at number 6, I have Pulp Fiction. I watched that so many times. This is another movie where I might be in the mood to watch Samuel Jackson with John Travolta. I might be in the mood to watch Bruce Willis. I don't even watch the whole movie all the time, but I watch portions of it all the time.
Yep. Great movie.
The next one is Eat, Drink, Man, Woman.
Second one you got me on here. I'm not sure I've seen that.
Probably not. It's subtitles. It's from Japan. It's a movie that if you love food, you want to watch it. It's also a good story about a family. It's got a lot going on.
Okay.
And it's funny. Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. Excellent movie.
Second one, all right.
The Big Year. Steve Martin, Jack Black. I forget the guy's name. He's from the Wedding Crashers with the messed up nose.
Owen Wilson.
They were all in it. It's The Big Year is about what the birding community calls the big year, when you set a record for the.
I do remember this movie. Yes, bro, you got the most amount of ones in a year, right?
Bro, it is so beautiful. It is. Every Overlander, this should be like in their top 10.
Yeah.
You gotta, because they went to all of these locations. I don't want to tell too much. You gotta watch this movie, Mike, at least one time.
Yep.
I watch it literally for the visuals sometime, and I don't even pay attention to the jokes, and the jokes are funny.
Yeah.
Okay, then I got Paid in Full. This is a movie about the drug trade in New York City back in the 80s. You have to just see it. It's a good movie.
Who stars in that? Anybody big?
Well, no.
Okay.
Nobody was big from this movie. The guy, the star of the movie also played a drug dealer in a movie called The Wire. He was the main drug dealer, the tall, skinny guy. You have to see it. It's a good movie. Paid in Full. It's a cult classic. And then I have number 10, I have Friday. If you tell me you ain't heard of Friday, Mike.
Tell me more. I don't know yet.
Chris Tucker, Ice Cube.
What's it about?
They have a famous gift that people use all the time where they're sitting and they go, damn.
No, I didn't see that.
Wow.
I told you.
I had no idea. You are super white. Golly.
I'm too busy watching the Titanic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then so you added two more, so I'm gonna give you two more. Dead Presidents
Oh yeah, I like that movie.
and Coming to America.
Coming to America. I've seen that too. Yeah. Yep. That's a good
And then I got two more, Mike. Malcolm
Okay.
X,
Yeah.
Kill Bill Volume 1,
Oh, yeah.
and Easy Rider.
Oh, Easy Rider. Oh, God. All right. So the moral of the story for you guys out there is if you need to ask for movie recommendations, better to text Phil than me.
I liked a bunch of stuff on your list. I'm trying to think. There was something that oh, your very first one. That was the one that blew me away.
Baseballs, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, Spaceballs.
Come on, that's what's his name? He's a funny guy.
I've seen Spaceballs. I know the little short dude. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but who's the director or the producer of that?
That's what I'm saying. The little short dude. I can't think of his name. Is he still alive?
If he is, he's 100 and something. I think he is, though. I think he might be.
That would have been a big announcement.
It's not George Burns. I keep wanting to say George Burns.
No,
it's not George. It starts with Melvin. I don't know.
Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks. I think he might be alive. I don't know.
You know, we act like we're so far away from computers that we can't find.
If he's not alive, I mean, if he is alive, I'm telling you, he's got to be 100.
98 years old, still alive, still kicking it.
Alive. There you go. He's a funny guy.
Oh yeah, I watched a bunch of his movies.
So there you have it, folks. Now you know our country artists, our general artists, our movies. I don't know. Well, next we'll have to. We're getting closer. We're getting closer to November, so we're in October here, guys. So we're like 1 month out from. We're going to have to give you our predictions on the political environment coming up soon. So I'm just keep putting that plug in there for those of you that are waiting for us to talk politics about something.
Mike, real quick, talk about Overland Expo. Why you decided to go to the East Coast when you said you weren't going this year? Why you don't have your orange truck with you? Are you teaching classes? Just what the hell's going on?
I am teaching classes. I'm going to be doing the experts panel for creators. I'm going to be on the Baja panel and maybe a couple other things. I am bringing my 1965 Land Rover Series 2A truck that I took across Africa. I'm actually pulling that because I would not have been able to be on this podcast right now because I would have had to leave 3 weeks ago to get down there because the max speed on this thing I think is 40 miles per hour. And I'm pulling that down to Virginia. I'm leaving in a couple hours actually from Connecticut. And I'm super excited because it's the first time that I've ever actually brought this truck to Overland Expo. It's never been to an Overland Expo. I've owned it for 30 years. It's my original Overland vehicle. So if you guys want to come down and say hi and see what actually got me into the world of overlanding, I'm bringing it. That's the original truck. And it's old. And for those that are in the know, I am bringing it out after Overland Expo. I'm pulling it out west to New Mexico. So stay tuned. There might be something happening with that truck at some point in the future, but I can't tell you about that yet.
Mike, did you hear about the bear that killed the other bear at Katmai National Park?
In which national park?
Katmai in Alaska.
Alaska? No, I don't think so.
I'm having technical difficulty right now, Mike. Okay, I'm back.
He's back.
Yeah, they're supposed to have a Fat Bear Week next. Do you know about Fat Bear Week?
I do know about Fat Bear Week, yes. Because you get some pretty interesting pictures on the internet.
Bro, they look like Piggly Wiggly.
Yes,
they look
they
like
do.
a brown version of that tire commercial thing.
Yeah, the Michelin tire guy. Yeah.
Well, anyway,
They're getting ready to hibernate.
one of the biggest bears killed one of the other biggest bears, and it was witnessed on the cam, because they have those cameras there 24
Yeah.
hours. And so they're postponing it till next week, or the
Really?
following week, rather. Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting. Interesting. Can you believe it's October?
Bro, I was just talking to my wife. It seems like last week I was complaining it's too hot.
I know.
And now I'm back in sweatshirts.
I'm looking out the window right now here in New England. We've got this season, the leaves. It's leaf peeping season. The leaves are changing. Up in Vermont, just north of me, it's prime season. It's probably going to be prime season here in about a week. So that is going on where I'm located, even though my background screen, if you're watching this instead of listening, looks like I'm in Oregon, because I think I was.
That was Oregon.
Yeah, it was Oregon. Let's leave them on this. Predictions for tonight? Vice presidential debate? And you guys will be listening to it after the debate, so you can just call us out on this one way or another, whether we're right or not.
Okay, I usually give the prediction first. You give yours first.
So you got two guys. Okay, let me break it down this way. And I'm going to proclaim to not necessarily know either one of them super well. And we can probably both agree that vice presidential debates probably don't mean a whole lot either. I think Vance, what's his first name? I can't remember now. What is his first name? Holy crap. I'm just drawing a mental blank right now. Vance, the Trump guy. What is
Trump's guy?
Yeah, Trump's guy. I can't remember his first name all of a sudden. I'm just like, I'm getting old. I went and visited my mom today, and she's, she doesn't remember stuff all the time, especially like short-term memory. I feel like maybe I got that problem. Anyways, I think he is pretty polished as a speaker. And I think that means a lot in a debate, meaning like he's got a good voice, and he speaks fairly well. The Waltz, which I can't remember his first name either. What? Paul Vance. Is it Paul Vance? Oh my God. Wow, this is bad. The Harris Waltz ticket, whatever his name is. He's like
Do you want me to tell you who they are, Mike?
Yeah. Tell me their names.
J.D. Vance and Tim
J.D.
Walz.
No wonder I couldn't come up with. And what?
And Tim Walz.
Tim Walz. Yeah, Tim Walz. Tim Walz is like, he's way too Midwestern, way too. I mean, you just expect him to be taking out the menorah or something. Like I don't really care for the way he speaks. And that's not necessarily an indication of, whether or not he may or may not be a good candidate. But if you put the two of them together, I feel like Vance is going to be far more polished.
So here's how I look at it. The way you described it is like J.D. Vance, his style is better than Walz's style. And I agree with that in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that he's been successful and gotten to the point that he's gotten because normally people do like the, hey, I'm a great guy type guy. That normally works. But he's in a situation where you already have a candidate ahead of you, Harris, where her credentials are being questioned, her knowledge and things like that are being questioned, her taking softball questions and not being interviewed and blah, 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 blah. He has to come in looking like a substance guy, and that's not his thing. Right. So it's just the wrong environment for him. But normally it would work.
Yeah, I would
I
agree.
do agree with Vance. Vance articulate. When you ask him a question, he got the answer for you, and he knows how to deliver. He already got it already scripted in his brain, but he delivers it in a way like I just thought of this right now off the bat. So yeah, I give him good credit, and I believe he'll shine because this particular election, because of the things I just described, they're looking for who's serious, who's really answering the questions, who's just trying to be like, hey, I'm a nice guy.
So my prediction is that Vance is going to win the debate. I predict that actually one or both of them are going to answer a question, because I could argue that neither presidential candidate answered a single question at the presidential debate. So I think these guys actually might answer a question. And
I think they're going to get into it.
do you think they're going to ask Vance and or Waltz about the eating the dogs and the cats?
No.
Sure. What network is this on?
I don't know.
I think it's on. I think it might be on CNN. No, I'm not positive.
So Fox isn't even considered anymore for
I think it's CNN. I think
because they didn't have all these debates and Fox ain't got one of them.
No, but
CBS.
CBS. Okay, so given that, I think they're going to ask. I think here would be a question that I would ask to JD Vance. I would say, JD, when Donald Trump said they were eating the cats, they were eating the dogs, what went through your mind? Because my understanding is that you might have had something to do with this, and or there was discussion about this prior to the debate that this is something that was happening. I mean, and based on all accounts, this is simply not true. That's what they're going to say. I'm predicting that.
Okay.
I don't know how he's going to answer that, but
I won't be shocked if it happened, but I don't think it's going to come up.
yeah, I agree with you. I think they're going to go at each other. But see, I think Vance might have a look. Both of them.
I don't mean the normal go at it, like interject while you're talking. I believe that they going to talk some shit to each other.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know whether or not, I don't know what I didn't look at this, so I don't know what the format is. I don't know if there's an audience. I don't know if I'm not really sure what the format.
I don't like that no audience thing.
I don't either. I don't either.
Even though usually it's a bias in the audience.
Sure.
But people still have guts. People still have guttural reactions.
Yes.
Where somebody will say something and they catch themselves clapping against the enemy. You know what I mean? I've seen it happen.
Yeah. I don't like it without the audience either. I think the definition of a debate should mean that it's before an audience, it's live, it's unscripted, and
because what it also allows the media to sculpt for you who won.
Correct. Right. Instead of listening to what the audience and how they reacted, because sometimes they react even against their own candidate. Because, like you said, it's guttural. They just can't. They're like, oh, whoa, and So yeah, I missed that. I don't know if maybe they'll have an audience for those guys, but that's my prediction. I think Vance wins. I think he's smoother. Let's be honest. Both of them have said and have done and have been. There's challenges, I guess. I think I said this in I think they were both bad picks.
I think the vice presidents are worse than the presidents.
Yeah, I think they were not. I don't think. I think if Harris or Trump had a do-over, I'm not sure either one would take them again.
You know why I think they would? For the same reason they chose them the first time. I think they chose, like Trump, I think he picked Vance because he feels like I'm better than him.
Well, for sure.
He's no competition. Same thing with her. I don't think they want somebody that they feel like is an actual challenge, that they don't believe in no steel sharpening steel. They don't want no competition.
Yeah, well,
you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I mean, I definitely think that's a Trumpism for sure.
I don't think anybody who was really qualified, who you would have been like, "Ooh, he's a good vice president." That person didn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
Think about Pence.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Right. Yeah, because I think Harris should have selected the governor of Pennsylvania. I think he was the best choice. He was incredibly well spoken. I mean, hell, if you close your eyes and put him on, you'd swear it was Obama talking. Like, you can't even tell the difference between those two guys.
The only president in modern day society history, in my opinion, who picked someone who was his equivalent or better than him was Bush.
Yeah, Cheney.
Yeah, he picked his boss.
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
But
by the way, kind of what you should do. That's what they teach you in business anyways, is pick the guy that's going to replace you.
But that's not the actual strategy people do. They pick the guy that they can scapegoat to keep their job.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. That's a true statement. And I think Trump, I think Trump would be stronger right now if he had picked DeSantis.
See,
that's who I think he should have picked.
There's too much baggage with him. There's too many known things to pick at him at. At least with these two names, you had to start from scratch investigating about them.
Oh, yeah, because we're both scratching our head on both of them. We're like, who the hell is this guy? I don't even know who this guy is. In fact, as you could tell by probably listening to me here on the podcast, I'm not really sure we know who they are now.
I'm not going to fake the funk, bro. To this day, I really don't know that much about them. And I have not invested minimal time reading about them or anything. Because in the end, they become inconsequential.
Yep. However, we might be wrong, Phil, because we say that. But who is the presidential candidate right now on the Democratic side? Somebody that was inconsequential that we didn't care about, who was the vice president. So look at Harris. I mean,
wow. How did I not get that? Okay.
Yeah. And here we are. So probably got to be careful what we ask for.
I hope not, bro.
That's our predictions. Let us know. We're going to see next week if we were right, wrong, or indifferent on all of them.
You got anything else you want to say, Mike?
No, I will see you guys. For those of you that are attending Overland Expo in Virginia, I will see you this weekend. Looking forward to it. And please stop by in the Creator Showcase area. Look for the green, not orange, the green old Land Rover.
All right, guys, you know what I'm going to say. Stay safe, tread lightly, and hopefully we'll see you here or on the trail soon.
You have been listening to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.